Hello, friends, and welcome back to VHS. I'm your host, Jesse, and today we continue our celebration of 1985, the greatest movie year. Please take a moment, if you will, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of what it is we do here. We are marching toward YouTube partnership as we speak, and you can help us get there. For now, we are smack dab in the middle of summer 1985. So let's take a look at what July and August have in store. July 3rd, 1985. Back to the Future. Well, howdy do. We've reached the 4th of July weekend, which everyone knows is peak blockbuster season. And didn't they just drop an all-time classic with Back to the Future in 1985? Hard to know what else to say about Back to the Future at this point, but I picked a format for these videos and I'm gonna stick with them. So let's have those questions. Question number 1. What is this movie? I know y'all have seen Back to the Future. Don't play games with me. But for anyone who really hasn't seen it or doesn't know what it's about, the movie follows teenage rocker Marty McFly, whose totally normal relationship with a middle-aged hermit scientist results in Marty traveling back in time to 1955, where he nearly wipes himself out of existence. Yeah, that'll do it. Question number 2. Is it worth a watch today? Run. Do not walk to go see Back to the Future if you haven't already, or if you have kids that are ready to sit through a movie and you haven't shown them. This movie kicks off what is perhaps the most perfectly constructed film trilogy of all time. Back to the Future, on its own, the first one, is a paragon of Hollywood studio movie making, and it still satisfies to this very day. Guys, the central relationship at the heart of this movie is a little weird. The time travel parents as teenagers with their teenage son and the parents, it has some creepy implications. It does. Marty makes out with his mom. Doesn't matter. Still a good movie. July 19th, 1985. The Legend of Billie Jean. July has several more classics that we need to discuss, and we're going to do that shortly. Bigger movies, more famous movies than this one here, which I hope will serve to illustrate how important I feel it is to highlight this film, The Legend of Billie Jean. There are songs and books and art that speak specifically to young people and allow them to feel the potential of their own power. And there are movies like that too, of course, and The Legend of Billie Jean is one of those. Question number 1. What is this movie? Helen Slater and Christian Slater, no relation, play brother and sister. How confusing for everybody. The point is, they play a couple poor kids who are just trying to live their lives and get by when they get into a violent altercation with the rich a-holes of their region, their area, their town, and they end up having to go on the run from the cops with a couple of their friends, including Yeardley Smith, who you don't even know is the voice of Lisa Simpson.
It's about time.
Question number 2. Is it worth a watch today? The Legend of Billie Jean is absolutely worth a watch today. This coming-of-age adventure is all about fighting the man, and that's never going to get old for young people. You know, for anyone with a rebellious spirit, this movie will absolutely sing to you. It may not make a lot of practical sense that these kids can go on the run and get away with what they get away with in the real world, but who cares? It's an 80s movie. July 1985. Best of the rest. There are far too many amazing movies popping off at this point in 1985, so we need to catch up with a couple quick hits. Let's check them out. Red Sonja. Oh man, here comes Brigitte Nielsen and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the height of barbarian silliness. That's super enjoyable. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. That's how crazy 1985 is, you guys. I don't even have time to break down Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and I love Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Silverado, don't mind me just dropping a supergroup western out of nowhere. Check out the cast. Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Rosanna Arquette, Kevin Costner, Danny Glover, Jeff Goldblum. Get out of my face. Explorers. Explorers is a very cool movie about young Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix building an actual spacecraft, and they kind of actually get out in space for a little bit. It's exciting. It got destroyed at the box office in 1985 because Back to the Future had just come out and everything else was coming out around it, but people found it on home video. Day of the Dead. Yeah, that's right. George Romero is still dropping bombs on people out here in the middle of everything else. And finally, personal favorite, National Lampoon's European Vacation. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. If you know, you know. August double feature, Weird Science and Real Genius. I told you 1985 wasn't fooling around. I told you that, right? I did mention that at the top of every one of these videos. Well, here we come to August, and these two films are released 5 days apart from each other. On August 2nd, you get Weird Science. And on August 7th, you get Real Genius. My God. Question number 1. What are these movies? You can check out my episode of the Hollywood Holdup featuring Weird Science in the description below. It didn't super hold up for me, but you'll see in the comments for that video, it really held up for a lot of other people. So there you go. Real Genius for me is a little bit better. Still not an amazing movie on its own, but what both of them are good at doing is being a vehicle for their young stars. I'm specifically thinking about Anthony Michael Hall and Bill Paxton in Weird Science and the golden boy that is young Val Kilmer in Real Genius. Question number 2. Are they worth a watch today? Sure. This could be a totally nice, light double feature if you're into older comedies or you just want to kind of get a glimpse of these stars from when they were young. You're gonna laugh. I'll say that. You're gonna cringe maybe a little bit more with Weird Science, but we'll see how you feel about it. Ultimately, though, you're gonna get why these young stars were so hot in Hollywood at this era. It's interesting for that, if nothing else. August 9th, 1985. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. We head deeper into August 1985, and what do we stumble upon but a young Tim Burton just starting to stretch his wings with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now, if you're not already familiar with the comedian Paul Reubens and his work of the character of Pee Wee Herman, I genuinely do not have a good explanation for it or why it was popular from this vantage point in history, but I loved it, and here we go. Question number 1. What is this movie? Pee-wee's bike gets stolen. He goes looking for it. Doesn't super matter. The story doesn't really matter. This movie is all about the crossroads of talent between two crazy geniuses. One of them being Tim Burton, just coming up, becoming the visual, crazy madman filmmaker he's going to be, and the super growing popularity of this oddball sketch character named Pee Wee Herman. And it ain't never going to happen again. Question number 2. Is it worth a watch today? People will keep watching this movie throughout time, presumably when they study Tim Burton, the filmmaker, but I can totally understand if the character of Pee Wee Herman itself sort of gets harder and harder to access for new audiences the farther away we get from his era. So really, this is more of a plea from me to you than a recommendation. Please keep Pee Wee and the work of Paul Reubens alive by watching this movie. And I thank you. Best of the rest. August 1985. And here come the best of the rest from a wild August 1985, starting with Fright Night, the original Fright Night. Super fun teenage horror comedy-ish. No need to mess with the 2011 remake. Thank you very much. Sesame Street, Follow That Bird. A devastating film. If you know, you know. Summer Rental. For some mid-80s John Candy out of nowhere. What could be better than that? Well, maybe Volunteers. For some mid-80s Tom Hanks and John Candy. Seriously, 1985 in the same month? What are we even doing here? Better Off Dead also comes out in August. Don't look now, but here comes John Cusack sneaking up on everybody. And finally, Teen Wolf. Oh, Teen Wolf. A month after Back to the Future, the other Michael J. Fox movie gets dropped on August 23rd, just plopped right there. It's not a great movie. But listen, man, between Styles, Boof, and 7 Minutes in Heaven, I got a lot of love for this one. And there you have it. Part 4 of the VHS series, 1985, The Greatest Movie Year. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little spent after these crazy summer months. But don't look now, because here comes September and October right around the corner. I promise, there's more action, there's more laughs, but more than that, the Oscar bait movies are going to start dropping for 1985. So we got that to look forward to. Until then, we live here, only on VHS. Take 'em home, Craig Wolf. Ha-woo!
Thanks for watching, everyone. Oh, and please like and subscribe. Check out more of our videos. Leave a comment. Or don't. You do you.